Clever Crow by Pam Holden. One hot, sunny day, a hungry young crow and his uncle went flying far over the countryside searching for food. After they had feasted on seeds and insects and berries, they began their flight home. When they had been flying for several hours, they started feeling very thirsty, so they flew down low to look for somewhere they could get a drink of water. Wherever they searched, they couldn't find a lake or a river or even a stream or a pond. There wasn't a single puddle or trickle of water anywhere in sight. The young crow became upset and worried, squawking, "I'm terribly tired and thirsty, Uncle. I must have water soon. Whatever are we going to do?" "Don't worry," replied the older crow. "We'll find something soon if we are patient. You can take a rest in a cool spot while I look further ahead." So the young crow flew down and settled on a branch of a shady tree, while his uncle continued the search alone. After a quarter of an hour, the old crow returned, calling, "Fly over this way. I've spotted a container below that might have water in it." Together they flew down to the ground and landed beside an old pitcher. When they looked down into the deep pitcher, they could see that there was some water in it, but the water level was so low that they couldn't possibly reach it. The younger crow started to squawk and cry. "I feel so thirsty and hot," he squawked, spreading out his wings like fans. "At least we have found enough water, but we can't even sip it. There's nothing we can do. It's impossible to fly any further without having a drink." "Be calm. There must be something we can do," said the older crow. "We mustn't panic. Let's just think sensibly about this problem." "It's useless. There's no way we could ever reach that water," cried the young crow. "How will we be strong enough to fly home unless we find a drink?" "I'm busy thinking of some ways to get that water out," replied his uncle, scratching his head. "I know we can't break the pitcher or tip it over because it's far too heavy for us. Even if we are strong enough to move it, the water would spill out and soak away into the dry ground." "This is hopeless. That pitcher's far too narrow for us to get a single drop to drink," squawked the younger crow miserably. "There's nothing else we could possibly do." "Nonsense. Of course there is. I have an idea that should work. Watch this trick," answered the older crow. He picked up a small stone in his beak, hopped close to the pitcher, and dropped the stone down into the water. Plop! "What use could that be?" cried the younger crow, fanning himself with his outstretched wings while his uncle picked up another stone to drop it into the pitcher. This action was repeated countless times. Hop, drop, plop, hop, drop, plop. "We still need more stones. Why don't you come and help me with this work instead of sitting, watching, and crying?" asked the older crow. As the stones were dropped in one by one, the water slowly came up a little bit higher and closer to the top. Suddenly, the young crow understood how wise his uncle's plan was. It was working. "What a wonderful idea!" he squawked. "You are very clever to think of such a successful trick." He hurried to help gather more stones and dropped them in with a plop until the water level finally rose right to the top. At last, the two thirsty crows could reach into the pitcher and have a long, cool drink. The older crow kindly offered the young crow the first drink, waiting patiently until he had his own turn to quench his thirst. After they had drunk all the water, they felt satisfied and refreshed. They had a short rest together in the shade. Then both agreed that the water had given back their energy. Before long, they were strong enough to fly back into the sky and return home safely together. The young crow thanked his uncle for solving their problem, admitting that he had learned an important lesson that day. Never give up, because where there's a will, there's a way. The end.